Hi guys, welcome back. It's me again, and I just feel like God has been leading me to make this video. About my testimony, to share my testimony with you guys. I don't usually do YouTube videos, but I just feel like God is leading me to do this. I am doing a fast right now, and just a lot of other stuff, praying, and God, I feel like God put that on my heart. So, my testimony of how I came to Christ started when I was in high school. Um, in high school, I was in like what, grade 11? Yeah, I was in grade 11. I think that's how you guys call it. Yeah, so I was in grade 11 and I was addicted to drugs by then. Like by then, I was fully addicted to drugs. I think that was in 2016. I started doing drugs in December of 2016. And for that entire period from December 2016 to it was like, I would say August or July. July, I would say August. I think it was August to August 2017. I was just full blown addicted to drugs. Like once I started, I couldn't stop, and I would skip school. I would go to school. I was still living with my parents at the time, so I would skip school. I would go to school, leave the school, and go smoke weed with my friends, and I was just living that lifestyle. And I was actually an innocent person. And if you ask me, not innocent as in the fact that I didn't sin, but I just never looked for trouble. I was always just by myself on my own vibe, you know, and I would smoke. And for me, like, I'm not bothering anyone. I knew what I was doing was wrong though, because for me in high school, well, all throughout my life, I've always been an athlete, playing, whether it be playing soccer or track. So in my school, I was a well-known athlete. So taking that path of skipping school and smoking weed and everything, I knew, like, everyone knew, and everyone was telling me like, "Hey, what are you doing? You know better than this, and you have a life ahead of you. You need to do better? And I was just doing really bad in school, and and then it came to a point. It was in, like I said, I think it was in the summer 17. That's when a lot of stuff happened. That's when God really came into my life. So how it happened was, I was smoking this one time. Well, it was this time. I came from school. It was like at nighttime. I don't know what happened. I just came home at night. I think I stayed back to do something. And I got off the bus, and mind you, in my area, everyone is always smoking. Like if you're walking down the street, there's like blocks or different groups of people smoking on the walk as you're walking. And while I'm walking, no one is smoking. Just for that day in particular, no one was smoking, not even a cigarette. And I'm like, yo, that's kind of sketchy. What's going on? So I was just like, okay, seems a little sketchy. Cause for me, I'm a very vigilant person. Like I pay attention to everything just for the sake of knowing what's happening around me. So I go home and I'm like, yo. So I just wanted to get something to smoke. So I was like, yo, let me go get this thing. And I went, and it seemed like everyone else didn't have any. Only one person in the neighborhood had something. And looking back, I knew like everyone else had something, but that was just the setup. So I'm like, I see what's happening. Mind you, I see this actually happen. I know what's about to happen. I know it's a setup, but I just couldn't believe that that's what's going on. Even while, so I was like, okay, let me go get this. I'm gonna go get this. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go get this. You know what I'm saying? So I went and I got myself a bag. And while I'm getting it, the guy that I was buying it from, it was two of them. The other guy, he looked at the other guy. They looked at each other like, that's what we do. We got him now. And I knew, I saw everything because I'm a very vigilant person, as I would always say, like discerning and everything. So I saw it all happening, and I just went with it because I just couldn't be bothered. I know what was happening. I was just like, okay. So looking back, I just see like it was meant to happen. Regardless of how I was, it just was meant to happen. So I took that, and um, I went home and I smoked it. And the minute time I smoked it, I knew something was up. It just felt different. And, I started panicking and everything. And then, you know, I went out the street. So I came out the street and everyone was looking at me like, oh, yeah, we got him. And so when I came home, no one was smoking. The minute time I smoked this and I went back out the street, everyone was smoking. And these people were just basically talking to me indirectly. I know people talk about being paranoid and everything, and you make everything about yourself. I get that. But these people were really talking to me indirectly. Because they were the one that just set me up, and I fell for the bait, like all of them. So they were just talking. I'm like, yo, I know what's going on. You feel me? I see what's going on. And this one guy, like, he's a friend of mine, and he used to smoke too. Him and I smoked together. We would chill together. He was like, bro, I'm sorry. That's when it really confirmed to me, like, bro, I'm sorry. He was like, bro, I'm sorry for this. Like, I knew. Like, he's basically apologizing because he knew, like, the setup, and he never really told me anything. So he was like, bro, I'm sorry. And I'm like, yeah, I see what's happening. And then, so I left home and I went down. I went to my dad, and my dad was acting strange, bruh. And I was just like, bruh, he's in on this. He knows what's going on. Like, he's a part of this. So I started pressing him. Like, so I told him, first of all, I came to him and I was like, yo, dad, I smoked this and I don't feel good. Like, can you take me to the hospital? I really don't feel good. Like, I feel a little, you feel me? I feel a little off. And he was like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You sure you want to go to the hospital? It's going to wear off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to go to the hospital. And I was like, nah, take me to the hospital. I don't feel good. And it's just the way he was acting. You could tell, for me, I don't know anyone else. I could just tell by the people, someone's body language, that he was in on this. So, and I later found out that he really was in on this. But, anyways, so this happens, and so he starts taking me to the hospital, and we got there, and it's like, bro, everyone knew what was happening. People were looking at me, and mind you, in that moment, I was a little paranoid. I'm not gonna hold you. I was scared, but I was aware enough to be like, am I tripping, or is these people really looking at me like they know what's happening? And then I came to the nurse, and instead, like, you come to the nurse and like it's an emergency and something is happening, and they would have that feeling of you would get like, oh, hey, they're really concerned and they want to help you. This nurse was laughing, like, she was smiling at me like, kiki, and I'm like, bro, what's funny? You know what I'm saying? Bye bye. I didn't say it, but I was just like, bro, what's funny? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then nothing happened. I was like, because usually what they do is they give you this injection to lower your heartbeat or to neutralize you basically. And I was like, yo, give me that. I don't know. Whatever it is I need to take, give me that. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just like, yo, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. And they ended up not giving me, they ended up just sending me home. But ever since then, that's when I figured out that my dad, he was in on this, and he was acting very strange, yo. I'm telling you, ever since. And I just caught on to it. And I was like, Dad, you in on? I asked him straight up. I was like, you know about this, don't you? And he never answered me. He just looked at me and he smiled. And then he looked back because he was driving. And I was just like, so you really in on this? That's what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? So that was the first time. So all of my friends, my family, they knew. Well, not all of my family, I'm tripping. All of the people in the village or the neighborhood that I thought was my friends, they basically set me up. And even my dad, this guy, I grew up with this guy all my life, bro. He was in on this. So everything just started shifting for me. That's when I started to realize, like, yo, dang, you know what I'm saying? That's how it is. And so fast forward, it happens a second time. Okay, so fast forward, like, I don't know, a week after or something. So I go and I wanted to smoke again. Like, I stopped smoking the first time, and then I was like, you know what, bro? I'm trying to get high again, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? So I go and I go to this guy well, it was I never usually, I used to get weed from him, but he was not someone I used to always go get. He was not the main plug. So, but this time I went to him and I knew like he was up to something. I knew what was happening ever since before it even happened. But I was just so driven by getting something. Like I needed the buzz. You know what I'm saying? And I went to him and he gave me that, and same thing happened. I smoked it. I was like, bro, something is up, something is wrong. You know what I'm saying? I was scared. I was paranoid and everything. And that's when I really started saying, like, bro, Jesus is calling me. You know, I remember calling my aunt, and I was like, I feel like this is God telling me to take his hands. You know what I'm saying? Because it happened and it hit me so hard. And I was like, bro, I was scared. And I just knew in my heart that God is telling me, hey, take his hands. Because I grew up in a Christian household. Um, man, my entire family basically knows about God. We're all Christians, but not everyone is following God. So I had that instilled in me ever since I was young. So I just knew. I felt like God was the one calling me. You know what I'm saying? And so I took that and I just kept, I was just there. And then it really hit me. And then that's when I started reading the Bible. I started seeking God and everything. And, you know, that was the first time I actually started pursuing God like that because I knew something was up. And I just remember reading all the Psalms and everything because I was just looking for motivation because it was happening in my mind. I was getting attacked. You know what I'm saying? A lot of witchcraft, a lot of sorcery. So the enemy was really coming at my mind, telling me that he caught me, like I'm going crazy, I'm going insane, like, this is it. And all of that stuff that he does. So it was just fear. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, but then it happened the third time. You know what I'm saying? And that third time is when it really hit me. Cause I'm sorry if you hear anything, cause people are doing work in the background, like in the. But that third time is when it really hit me. So I was at a friend's house. He's like someone. He was a friend that I went to high school with. Like ever since I got to high school, him and I were friends. Ever since I was a freshman. And so I was at his house, and they smoke and everything, cause that's what they do. So I wanted to smoke, like I felt the vibe. You know what I'm saying? And so before that, so his dad, what he would do, he was trying to get me away from God. That whole thing was a setup. They knew I was coming, and they were prepared. You know what I'm saying? Because something happened to me and my dad. I think him and I, like, we weren't on good terms. Like, something happened. Yeah, I was chased out of the house by my dad with a machete. And what happened was, yeah, so I basically confronted him about this whole thing. I was like, yo, you doing this to me. You really doing witchcraft on me and everything. And mind you, I was not wrong. You feel me? I don't want to put any false, like accusations in someone, but I'm telling you, I've seen it with my own eyes. This guy is up to something. You know what I'm saying? And so I was telling him, like, yo, this is what you're doing to me. And he got really angry. You know what I'm saying? And my grandmom is sitting there, and she is a witch. But we will get to that. She was a witch. I didn't even know these things. Like I was just growing up living around these people, and I just didn't know. Like I didn't know about the spiritual realm, and it was always there. I just never had eyes to see it. So get back to the story. So he chased me out the house. He got really mad, chased me out the house with a machete, and then he lied to the police and said, well, I don't know if that's what he actually said, but someone told me that he said that I said I was trying to kill him, like I'm gonna kill him or something, and that's why he chased me out the house, which was a total lie. You know what I'm saying? And my dad, I'm telling you, he's just, yeah, you got to be careful with people like him, because yeah. But so that happened, and then so I went to live with my friend, and I was at his house, and they were smoking and stuff, and then I just wanted to smoke. You know what I'm saying? But my friend's dad, he was trying to tell me to get away from God. So he was telling me like, "Oh, God is not real. Um, in order for you to enter the spiritual realm, you gotta like say some numbers or something. Like say like 36600 or something, and you're gonna enter the spiritual realm." But I was just so rooted in God. Like I had that instilled in me. I was like, bro, what is he talking about? He doesn't know what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, and then he told me something like, what was it? The day that I was born, you know what I'm saying? And he said, you're gonna be a hard person to take down. He told me that straight up. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be a hard person to fall, like to take down, you know what I'm saying, to destroy. And I was just like, Because people are just violating me at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like violated. A lot of things are just happening, and people are just looking me in my eyes and basically laughing at me. So I'm like, bro, you really say that to my face? You know what I'm saying? And then I was just like, cool, whatever. Because I was just like, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just was so harmless. I didn't really care and anything. So I was just like, whatever. And then that next day, I went to go get some weed. And people from my village, again, where I went to get the weed, they were standing right there. It's like they were waiting to see me get it to know, like, confirm. You know what I'm saying? So I got the weed and then I went and I smoked it. You know what I'm saying? So after I smoked it, I knew something was up again, bro. Like, it was the last time. And that time is when it really hit me, because I came back and like they sent their son, because they had like three, like four of them. Yeah, it was four of them. Yeah, four of them. And they sent the kid, and he came and sat next to me, and it's like he was sniffing me, bro. I don't know what it was he was doing, bro. But he came and he looked at me, and then he came, he smelled me. And mind you, these people are like, they know what they're doing. They're all on the same page. I just didn't know. I didn't really pay attention to it, but they know what they're doing. So their son, he came and he did that, and I'm like, what's up with that? And I, mind you, I just smoked, so I'm like buzzing, and I'm like, yo, this is not good. Like, I'm panicking, and I came inside, and then my friend, the same friend that was that I knew like ever since freshman year, he started laughing at me, bro, in my face. He started laughing at me, and he was like, he was laughing. He was like, boy, you smoke, boy. You went and smoked, didn't you? And he was laughing, la la la. So he knew about this. He knew like what was gonna happen. And that's when it hit me. And he was like, oh, my dad? So he was trying to make me get scared. He was like, my dad? He brainwashes people. You know what I'm saying? He does that to people. La, la, la. And I was like, bruh, so he really, that's what's going on. Mind you, I'm not even paying attention. I'm not really feeding into what he's saying, because I kind of already knew it even before. So he's telling me this, oh, my dad brainwashes people and everything. And I'm like, dang, that's what's up. And then his little brother came to me and said, you need to watch what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You need to be careful. Like, you need to use your head, kind of thing. Like, why would you make that decision? But he wasn't saying it like it was just kind of like something that he said. It wasn't like, oh, he really cared. It was just like, bruh, you know what I'm saying? And then that's when I was like, yo, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go to the hospital again. If I don't get any help at the hospital this time, I'm gonna go to the police station. You know what I'm saying? And I'm walking, and I got out, and this is like in the city center, and I'm walking, and everyone is looking at me. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is. It's like people know. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying everyone is looking at me for that reason, because I'm a tall guy. So if I'm walking, I'm gonna catch eyes. Like, I know that part. But it just seemed the way they were looking at me was just like, that's him. You know what I'm saying? That's the one right there. That's the target. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. I just kept walking and everything. I went up to the hospital, and I just wasn't getting the help that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, bro, I'm gonna leave. So I went down, and I'm walking down to the police station, man. And it was like a group of police. I never see this, okay? All of them was there. It's like they were at a checkpoint waiting for me right there. And looking back, I would say that was God, because God put these people right there. And yeah, so they were there waiting for me, and they're like, yo, where are you going? Because I was walking by myself. And mind you, I'm not no criminal. I ain't done nothing. So they were just like, it was really weird that they called me. It's like they were waiting. It's like, yo, where are you going? I'm like, I'm about to go to the police station. They're like, okay, so what's up? We're police. What's up? What do you need? And I'm just like, well, this happened, and I smoked this, and I don't feel good, and I really need help. I explained to them the situation, and they're like, okay, so who's your parents? You know what I'm saying? And this one police officer, I told him who my dad is, and he was like, oh yeah, I know your dad. I know your dad. Let me take you home. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, I live like 30 minutes away from where I met them, at least 30, 45 minutes. So it's like no one would do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, to take me home just for that reason. Because it seems like they were at like stationed there. Like, like that was where they're supposed to be stationed for that night. But then looking back, I just realized it was a setup. So that's when I really started seeing the spiritual realm, man. I remember in that moment while I'm walking towards the police, I had to just keep convincing myself that everything is gonna be okay, that God is with me. And just because I was going, like my mind was running crazy. You know what I'm saying? I was getting attacked left and right, and I didn't understand the spiritual realm fully as yet. And you know, and a lot of stuff was happening. So these police and the main guy, he was like the leader. I don't know how you, however you want to call him, the sergeant or something. Um, he said, "Yeah, I know you're dead," and he took me home. And well, while I'm going home, I said, "Let me call him. Let me try to call my dad." And he was like, "Yeah, I got your dad's number in my phone." And the way he was looking at me is like he knew something. You know, you know when someone knows. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anyone has that thing, but I just know when something is up and someone has an idea about something. You know, everything that they say, everything that they don't say, I pick up on it. You know what I'm saying? And so I just found it weird that he had my dad's number in his phone, but I was like, okay, cool. I let it slide. And then he brought me straight home to my dad, and he was just talking about, oh, and I was telling him, like, yo, I hear my heartbeat and everything. Like, because it was, I'm telling you, I was going wild. My mind was going crazy, and my body was going crazy because I was panicking a little bit. And then he brought me home to my dad, and he was like, yo, you're going to keep hearing your heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't saying it in a helpful way. He was saying it like, here, we got you kind of thing. Like, you're going to keep feeling that. You know what I'm saying? We got you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm there and I'm back home with my dad, and he spoke to my dad and everything. So that's how I got back home and everything. And then the following day, I had to go collect my stuff, and so I collect my stuff. I come back to my dad and everything, and that's when the real warfare began. Cause I repented. That's when I fully surrendered my life. I was like, God, I'm done. I don't want to play with weed anymore. Everything. So that's how I got out of my weed addiction, and I've been sober for 7 years now. And is it seven? No, well, today, well, this year make was gonna make it 8, so it's 7 years now. And yeah, but that's when the real warfare began. That's when I started learning about the spiritual realm, because I started thinking I was crazy. So, so remember I told you that my grandmom was a witch. She was living with us at the time, and that's when I really started to experience and see the spiritual realm for what it is. That's when it was just really straight up the enemy coming at me and really coming at my mind. So it was at one point, like just after that, I genuinely was like these thoughts. I was thinking that I was insane, but looking back, I realized that it was just the spirit telling me that I'm insane. The spirit of fear, the spirit of insanity, all of these things was telling me that, hey, you're insane, you're in this, and that opened the door to just a lot of spiritual torment, and it also became physical too, because I was getting attacked physically. But it was mainly just mentally, like constantly every day. I used to think I was crazy. I used to think I'm going crazy, and I was like, how are other people thinking so normally? Like, why am I thinking like a crazy, like I'm a really crazy person? And so school starts back, and everyone is thinking that I'm going crazy. You know what I'm saying? So throughout that whole summer, and I started. Oh yeah, let me tell you this, but I started having like okay, I'm going too fast. So what started happening is was throughout that whole summer, it was just a spiritual experience. Every day was a battle. Like every day was a battle, man. Like it didn't stop. So while I'm at home, that's when I started realizing how crazy the spiritual realm is. Cause I started having these symptoms, and I think it was I forget what the word. It's like what's the word? It's like hyper something, hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia. I can't remember whatever it was, but that was self-diagnosed. So I started having the symptoms of that. So whenever I ate sugar, like I would have a headache if I ate sugar, or if I ate too much sugar, I would just have a headache. So and so that happened. I was having those symptoms, and then I that's when I started learning about the spiritual realm and everything. So I learned about the spirit of sickness, and I started learning about the voice of God and everything. So it really just that's when my spiritual journey really began. So I started learning about understanding the voice of God, knowing the voice of God, because I needed to hear God in these situations. If I didn't, it was over for me. I'm telling you, I was like really on the verge of insanity. That's how close it was. Like if I really let my mind go for just an instant, that's how I felt. I would go insane. So I needed the voice of God, and that's when I started learning about the voice of God. And I met this amazing teacher. Right now, his ministry is called Revelation Rivers, and God really used him to just teach me about the spiritual realm. Like every video he posted was for me. Like I needed it, and he's still doing his ministry now. Robert, his name is Robert. God bless you, Robert. You really don't know like how much your ministry has blessed me. And but yeah, so getting back to the story, yeah. So my grandma and everything. So I started learning about all these things about because I was experiencing things in my life, and then I had questions. So I started learning about the voice of God and everything, and that's when I started learning about witchcraft. That was a huge thing for me because I just was experiencing a lot of things. People like witches and warlocks would meet me in the streets and tell me, "Hey, I'm coming for you tonight." And then in my dreams, I would see these people in my dreams. Then I had the cats. Like every night, these cats. It was like a black cat. It was an all black. There was this time, man. I have so much to say, yeah, about that. So it was this time. These cats and everything, and they kept coming to my window and howling. They only came to my window, mind you, only to my window. And they were howling and saying and just howling all night. And it really scared me. It freaked me out in the beginning. And I started asking my dad, like, Dad, what's up with that? Like, is that normal? Like, is that really what I think it is? And he was just like, oh, don't worry, it's just a cat. La 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 la. But he knew it wasn't just a cat. He knew what was happening. And so where was I? So yeah, these cats kept coming to my window. It was a black cat and it was a black and white cat. But it was like the black cat would always be there, and that cat would scare me, bro. I used to hate cats because of it, but that was just because until. But I knew something was up. And then my grandmom, it was this time I was sitting with my grandmom because that's when I started to learn like these witches and these warlocks could hear my thoughts, man. Because I would be going, like, I would just be walking around, I would be thinking something, and they would just burst out. There, it was this one woman, like, my entire village, bruh, my entire village was filled with witches. All the way I looked. The minute time my eyes was open to the spiritual realm, I started to see there were so many witches in my area that I never even paid attention to it. Like, everyone is into that stuff. Almost everyone. And so, where was I? So yeah, it was this time I was sitting in the living room with my grandma. She was sitting like across from me, and I was just talking to her in my head because I realized she's a witch. I realized she too, and I was growing. I grew up at this woman all my life, man. Eating from her, sleeping next to her, growing up with her, getting whooped by her because I was a bad kid. Um, yeah, that's another thing. Growing up, I was the rebellious kid in my family. If I would just do whatever I wanted to do, man, and that's when the devil really had. He was trying to destroy me. Because I was doing, I'm telling you, I would steal stuff. I would steal from my dad. I would steal from my friend's house. And I would just do whatever I felt, whatever my mind told me to do, I did. And no one could stop me. You know what I'm saying? They would be like, oh boy, don't do this, don't do that. And the minute time they left, I'm going to do exactly what they told me not to do. So I was very rebellious. Like, the only thing I never really got into was fights. I never liked fighting. I always was like scared of the thought of just getting like hurt or something or getting hit, you know, because I was like a tender person, you know what I'm saying? In that sense, I don't like it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, but yeah, so and now it made sense why a lot of those stuff happened. But anyways, back to the story. I'm sorry if I'm jumbled up. Like a lot of these things are just coming back to me in real time, so I'm sorry if it's jumbled up. But so I was sitting there with my grandmom and I was speaking to her and I was saying, look at what you're doing to your family, because look at what you're doing to us. Like, why would you do that to your kids? And then I said these two things. I said, get up and look at yourself in the mirror and really look at who you are and what you're going to do. And mind you, I'm not speaking this, I'm thinking this. And guess what she did? She got up as soon as I was finished done saying that. She got right up and looked at herself in the mirror. That was like the first time I really saw like the spiritual realm for what it is. And I'm like, bro, so they really could hear my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's when I started to learn how to pray and everything. So I would pray, right? This is how I know things are wild. So I would pray, and my grandma, she would make this noise in her room. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you know how like a growling noise. You know what I'm saying? Like she would just have this noise, like she's always growling. Like it really sounds like a dinosaur getting pricked by a sword or something. Or like a dinosaur getting stuck with a getting pierced with a flaming sword. You know how they would make that loud growling noise? That's exactly how it sounds, like a roar. So every time I would pray, you know what I'm saying? She would get that. You know what I'm saying? Every time I would read the Bible in the house, she would make that noise. And that's when I started to realize, like, yo, she really is like that. She's really a witch. And every time, and mind you, it was this one time I was like, okay, let me really test it. Am I tripping? So I prayed, and then she made the noise. I stopped. No noise. I prayed again, and then she made the noise. I'm like, bruh, this is really what's going on. Like, wow. And I grew up with this woman, and then there was this other time I read the Bible, and as I'm reading the Bible, she's making that noise constantly. And then she started getting frustrated. She was like, what's good? Like, stop. You know what I'm saying? She was in her room and she was like sucking her teeth, like, stop. La, la, la. She wasn't talking to me, but she was just like getting frustrated. And I was just like, bruh, wow, that's really crazy. And then what I would do is I started praying. And that's when I started that. So throughout this whole journey, it was just like spiritual boot camp. Like, God really teach me about all these things. And because all these people, because all these people was trying to intimidate me and everything, um they were exposing themselves because they wanted to intimidate me. So that was how I found out a lot of people are who they are, because the enemy was using this fear tactic to make me get scared. So a lot of people were just doing things to intimidate me, and the people that was doing those things, that's the people that know about what's happening, and they're in the like they're witches, basically warlocks. So yeah, and so I started to learn how to pray, praying not just pray, I started praying in tongues. um yeah, and the praying in tongues thing for me was never like, oh, the spirit of God hit me and I just started praying in tongues. What's his name, the same guy I told you about, the teacher, he said you could develop praying in tongues, and if you just continue, God is going to fill your mouth with the words. So I kept doing that, like for like how long, it was like 2 weeks, and I'm going to school, mind you. It was 2 weeks, and I just kept doing that. And it was like the third week, like just at the beginning of the third week, then I would just keep repeating the same thing, la 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 la, and then at one point, like I just started saying different things, and that's when the spirit really hit me, because I was just so obsessed with the spiritual realm, so obsessed with God, focused on God, nothing else, no woman, no lust, no nothing. I was just like, any form of sin that is in my life is gone. It has to go. And and mind you, I'm going to school by this time. Summer is over, and I'm really going to school now. So, and I'm going to school, and there was this rumor that I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? This rumor in the school that I'm crazy. So I'm going to school, and I'm being treated like a crazy person, like the teacher. And that's when I figured out even teachers in my school was into that witchcraft stuff. So the teacher was basically taunting me. And I know it's going to be like, oh, you were out of your mind, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know if people could remember. Even the students were there, if they were aware of what's happening. Because she was saying something about my head. And she was like, oh, we really need to worry about that head of yours, don't we? That mind of yours, don't we? It's like, she was like, yeah. And I'm like, and she looked at me with those eyes like, you know what I'm talking about. That's how she looked at me, like, she gave me the look, and I'm like, wow, so she's into that. She knows about that. And so while this is happening, I'm telling you, the warfare was insane. Like, my mind was just every day, it was just another battle. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I started to learn about the spiritual realm, understanding different spirits, learning to distinguish God's voice from my voice, from the voice of the devil, from the voice of the world, from the voice of the flesh. So I just started to, all of these things was just like a training for me. And you know. And I just had to keep going. Like I would go to school and I had crazy migraines, mind you. And I had crazy migraines. Like my eyes would be bloodshot red. That's how crazy the migraines was. And no one would know that I'm having this. No one would know. You know what I'm saying? I just was like, God really gave me that strength to do it. And I wouldn't miss it. I don't care how sick I was. I never accepted the spirit of sickness because I knew about the spiritual realm. So in my mind, this migraine comes from the spirit of sickness, and it wanted to take over me. And I was just like, nah, I'm not sick. You know what I'm saying? I would start getting like flus, and I'm like, nah, I don't have the flu. I don't accept that spirit, and it would just leave. Same thing happened with the symptom. Remember I told you I was having the symptoms about the symptoms with the hypoglycemia. Like whenever I ate sugar, something would happen. That symptom went away. Like all of it just went away because I refused to accept the spirit of infirmity or the spirit of illness in my life, and it just disappeared. Like all the symptoms just disappeared, and that's when I started realizing like this is real. And then I remember my stepmom, she came home and she had a flu, and that's when I started like practicing my faith in God. So I decided, okay, she has a flu. God says I can heal people. I read it in the Bible. You know, God says I can heal people just as He healed people. So I prayed and I prayed against the spirit of illness. I invited the spirit of, healing upon her. You know what I'm saying? And she woke up the next day and the flu left. Like she didn't have it at all. And I'm like, bro, wow. And she didn't even know this. I never told her. And I was like, wow, that's so true. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know this is real. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna make a part two, but there's a lot more. There's also a lot of stuff that I'm missing about this. But it just shows like, this is my journey, and I just hope that it inspires or it resonates with whoever it has to resonate. It reaches who it has to reaches, and yeah. But I'm gonna make a part two because this video is pretty long, so I'm gonna make a part two, and yeah, there's still a lot more to uncover or to unpack. Um, but whoever this video reaches, I hope God helps you through it, and I just hope you know that God is with you no matter where you are in your journey. God is with you, and He just wants you to fully surrender to Him. No complaining, wherever you are. Stop complaining because you're in boot camp training. You know what I'm saying? Stop complaining. That's what he said, Robert. I remember he said this. Stop complaining because you're in boot camp training. So I just saw everything that I was going through as God teaching me stuff. I never saw it as like, oh, this is meant to destroy me. I saw it as this is meant to help me grow. So whoever this is for, I pray that it reaches you. Also, if you're interested in learning how to make money online as a Christian, you want to escape the 9 to 5, the rat race, the world's broken system. You want to spend more time with your family. You just want more freedom financially to serve God, your family, and your community. Then click the link down below, and I would help you through that. But for now, I hope this video blesses who and reaches who it has to reach and blesses who it has to bless. And God bless you. Peace.